Before Stephen Miller became the worst person to ever set foot on Duke's campus, or the first Mr. Bitch to write a travel ban and kill immigration reform for 11 million people, his own childhood friends were already warning anyone who would listen that this man was dangerous. One of them put it in writing, "Do not take these stories lightly. They sound like exaggerations, but they are not." He has been radicalized.
Now, before his career in politics, Miller was widely hailed as the least popular kid at Santa Monica High School. This is all true, and maybe it had something to do with the fact that as a kid in high school, he reportedly made fun of minority students who had trouble with English, hated the fact that there was a club for gay people at his school, and he was even a dick to janitors.
In college, my style was dubbed Nazi Geek, which explains my nickname, Pee Wee German.
The light will defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil.
And real quick, I'm Lauren Paritra. If you're new here, please take a moment to make sure you're subscribed. I put my career on hold and I'm fully bootstrapping this podcast because I believe I deserve a chance to chase my dreams of telling the world why Stephen Miller is a little bitch. So the least you can do is support, sub, like, hype. Because I'm going to show you how deep this man's resentful, spiteful, loser lore runs. Mr. Bitch was not shaped by Trump or even radicalized by wacky Steve Bannon.
Just for the record, you have provided absolutely no evidence.
I'm prepared to go on any show, anywhere, anytime, and repeat it and say the President of the United States is correct 100%.
And so under the leadership of President Trump, we are using hard power, military power, lethal force to protect and defend the American homeland. Not a single one of your nations should tolerate the existence of a single square mile of territory that is under the control of any entity other than the sovereign governments of your country.
And literally nothing happened in Washington to drive him off the edge to become such an extremist. But there were warning signs. They were missed, literal fire alarms before he finished middle school.
Am I the only one who is sick and tired of being told to pick up my trash? And we have plenty of janitors who are paid to do it for us.
The goal of any military conflict is to kill as few people as possible. But as for Saddam Hussein and his henchmen, I think the ideal solution would be to cut off their fingers. I don't think it's necessary to kill them entirely. We're not a barbaric people. We respect life. Therefore, torture is the way to go. Because tortured people can live. Torture is a celebration of life and human dignity. We need to remember that as we enter these very dark and dangerous times in the next century. And I only hope that many of my peers and people who will be leading this country will appreciate the value and respect that torture shows towards other cultures.
Literal fire alarms before he finished middle school, which is also the last time he went up a shoe size. And the people closest to him saw all of it coming. Hold on to that for a second. You need to understand who little bitch Miller was as a child and what his family background actually looked like. Then the earlier behavior that people around him still remember decades later. And finally, the moment that closes out his middle school years, a phone call that tells you everything you need to know about where this was all headed. Miller grew up in wealthy Santa Monica, California, one of the most progressive and inclusive cities in the country. From the very beginning, he seemed to be a little bit of a bitter little bitch. His family was comfortable, and he was very well connected. His mother's side came from a Jewish family that had built a department store chain in Pennsylvania. His father was a Stanford-educated lawyer and a real estate investor, and by every material measure, Miller had a fortunate childhood aside from his face and personality, which matter a lot later on in this. So hold on to that, because this is one of those details that people tend to skip past, and they shouldn't. But the people who knew him describe somebody who is wired differently. Presumably like when you get all of your various iPhone cables tangled up, both white and geeky and gross. A friend from his synagogue recalled that Miller was already being described as a budding provocateur at 13, somebody who was not concerned with being liked, lucky for him. And this is where people started noticing something was wrong. That same friend described watching Miller slap his open hand down on the last slice of pizza in the middle of a group discussion about how to fairly divide it. Not to take it for himself, just so nobody else could have it. He sat there with his own pasty hand on a pizza slice he didn't even want, just to watch everyone go without it. Obviously, he was only doing this so he could make sure other people weren't able to eat the pizza. He was drunk off of this pizza power. And that detail matters because it's the same logic and same shoe size he would eventually apply to his immigration policy 30 years later. Around the same time, Miller also became obsessed with Star Trek, specifically with Captain Kirk's alpha male dominance. And equally, he fixated on Las Vegas-style gangsters. In one yearbook photo, he posed dressed as a mobster with a wad of cash in his hands. Didn't seem like a big deal at the time, but this stuck with people. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Not even close. His middle school friend, Jason Isla, who is Latino, was close enough to Miller to score an invitation to his bar mitzvah. The same summer, right before they moved on up to high school, Miller picked up the phone that summer and delivered a verdict. The friendship was over. He had a list of reasons. Most were personal, but there were one reason that Jason never forgot: his Latino heritage. Miller ended a years-long friendship over his friend's ethnicity before either of them had ever even set foot into a high school hallway. So if you're noticing a pattern here, you should, because that's where we leave him for now. But we're going to get into his high school years, because as we peel back the layers and get into more and more detail, and it gets so much worse.
Our lineage and our legacy hails back to Athens, to Rome, to Philadelphia, to Monticello. Our ancestors built the cities. They produced the art and architecture. They built the industry. You have no idea how determined we will be to save this civilization, to save the West, to save this republic. Because our children are strong, and our grandchildren will be strong, and our children's children's children will be strong. And what will you leave behind? Nothing. Nothing. To our enemies, you have nothing to give, you have nothing to offer, you have nothing to share, but bitterness.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to William D. Cohen's 2017 Vanity Fair investigation piece for this reporting. Let us know what you want us to dive into more next, because we are not going to take our foot off the gas with this Miller crazy train, and we can't do it without your support. We're fully powered and bootstrapped, and consider every sub, every hype, every like, every words or more as an FU to Katie and Stephen Little Bitch Miller, and you won't believe what's next. Yes, baby girl. And I'm also going to give a quick credit to William D. Cohen for his 17 Vanity Fair investigation. That reporting informs the series, and this link is that it's going to be linked in the description if you want to go a little bit deeper. And again, I'm Lauren Paritra. Willa Paritra is on the couch behind me, and we are going to ask you to take a quick moment to make sure you're subscribed, like, comment, share.
Stephen Miller never fails to live up to my expectations of incompetence.
Why do you think he should be fired?
I'm going to leave that up to the president. I can tell you, if I were president, neither one of them would be in Washington right now.